At the University of Iowa Wesley Center, we believe in the sacred power of simple, small, and slow. Our world and our lives are so gorgeously and impossibly complex, and the pace and scale of life is so often unsustainable. At the Wesley Center, we believe in gathering together, in breathing together, in breaking bread together, in cupping bowls of homemade soup, and passing bars of dark chocolate together, listening together, slowing down together. Sacred nourishment for body and soul. We seek out sacred wisdom, ancient and emerging, that can ground and guide our daily lives. We long for deep connection with ourselves, with each other, with spirit, with beauty, with the earth. We cultivate spiritual practices that will nurture such connection and sustain us, practices of care and contemplation, guided meditations and prayerful reflections, wisdom sharing and community building. We turn toward God and poetry and gospel truths and grounded hope and stories and sacred life force and scientific inquiry and music and liberation movement mobilizing to revive our souls and reignite our imaginations. We believe in the power of creating sacred space. Space to be vulnerable, space to be honest, space to be messy and welcomed warmly in all of your weird, space to experiment and explore, space to laugh and cry, to grieve and get creative and grow, space to heal, space to be held. Space to ask the biggest questions and listen deeply and learn and unlearn so much about ourselves and each other and the world and God. Space to cultivate the bravery needed to do hard things softly. Space to discern vocational and relational futures. Space to receive and extend care. Space to practice patterning our lives in rhythms of generosity, reciprocity, and solidarity with each other, the divine, the earth. I returned to Iowa to chaplain at the University of Iowa Wesley Center because I know firsthand how life-giving, even life-saving, encountering creative, transformative spiritual community as a college student can be. It is such a joy to create and tend this sacred space with amazing colleagues and collaborators and community support, and of course, the students who are at the heart of it all. Space for dreaming and building a world where each and all can be and become and belong, living and loving freely and fully, justly, and with joy. The Wesley Center's historic commitments to peace with justice, to anti-racism, to equitable redistribution of resources, to queer and trans thriving, and to building a more livable and loving world, led us to disaffiliate from a denomination whose values are no longer aligned with ours. Nothing about this decision was taken lightly. We value connection and collaboration, lineage and history. Our discernment stretched across years of countless challenging conversations, deep study, prayerful wrestling with each other, and no shortage of both laughter and tears. The seeds we are planting for our future are germinating. We do not know what our future holds or what physical space will be home for our ministry, or how we will fund the ministry that we are so deeply invested in. But we do know who we are and how and why our ministry matters, and who and what we care about, and how our faith calls us into risking it all in order to live into alignment with what is required of us, seeking justice, practicing loving kindness, companioning each other with courage and curiosity into all the uncertainties to come. And we know that with you, so much more is possible. Your generosity and participation in this co-creation makes this vital, vibrant ministry possible. We need each other. And when we each give what we have to offer, we believe it is more than enough. Thanks be, and may it be so, in fierce and tender care.